All right, hello everyone. My name is Oleg. I'm very happy to start another episode of our Polyamory podcast here on this YouTube channel. If this is your very first time with us, hit the subscribe button, like to this video, and share. Jonnatan, so do you have any questions to all of us or to each of us about like our stories that we share? Like any concerns, any questions, or?
Well, not really like a question, but so let me maybe you can help me to figure this out. So on my way of seeing relationships, it comes down to yes, I can be with someone and I will be happy to stay with that person, but this is something I have talked with a friend who is a girl. Um, she's 5 years older than me, but we are both on the same page. Like I can be loyal to someone, but cannot commit to or promise that I will always be only with you, because that's just boring. It comes for me. I mean, I cannot picture myself like being 20 years with only one person when there's more food out there. I always say that. But when it comes to being loyal to someone, for me it means that I will always have these choices, but I will always choose you and come back home and stay with you. But sometimes there will be something that you really can't say no, and you just are open to it, and you don't have to feel bad about just experiencing your life and sharing a moment, maybe of pleasure, maybe just a coffee, maybe just a sunset on the beach, but you don't have to feel like guilty for sharing a moment with somebody else. I mean, that's just being selfish with yourself, but in the end you're always being honest with the person that you are having a relationship with. And so that's how it works for me. That's how I see the world. It's if I ever have a relationship, like a serious one, I want to be loyal to that person, because it's not like there's I don't know if this is true, but I've read that in the mafia in Italy, if you cheat on your wife, nobody trusts you, because if you cheat on the person that sleeps right next to you, then how can everybody else like trust somehow with you? So it's the same for me. You're loyal to the person that shares the life with you, shares the apartment, shares the bills, shares emotions, shares family moments with you, and you're loyal to that person, and you have to take care of the person. But it will come also the day that that person might like somebody else, and I don't have to be selfish and let that person like don't do it because I own you. That I don't like that point of view of some relationships.
As you can see, we, we raised our hands. We have some questions to you, I guess, or comments. Well, I'll go first. I'll go first. When you're saying to be loyal to your partner, well, you mentioned a couple of things: to live together, to share bills, etc. But when you said to be loyal, what does it mean to you?
What it means to me is like I said, like there's always um you will always have like a eye candy happening like every day, right? um but sometimes you'll meet someone that is really interesting, and I appreciate, like this is what I do. I always appreciate myself if I am in a relationship, to still choosing my person, the person that I'm with at the moment. But if I have already been with this person for a long time, let's say we experience a lot of things together, we have learned a lot of each other, we have sex like everywhere, like even on the rooftop or on the middle of the street, whatever. It gets to the point that you might get like coming to a some sort of routine, I'll say. And then you find someone, or the other person finds someone that makes it more spicy, or makes you feel these emotions again. But that person, in the end of the day, it's like honest with themselves, or I'm being honest with myself, like I'm just gonna have this dessert and then go back home, and I'll be honest with my person. Because I mean, I won't throw away a relationship of whatever years you're having just because I found something that it's interesting at the moment. But this person has been with me for a considerable amount of time. So for me, that will be loyalty. Because I mean, I'm saying this because I saw a couple of friends. This was way before I was into open relationships or polyamory and stuff. But they were both older, and they've been together since college. They told me, and basically they've been like 40 years together. Both of them decided to open their relation, but then in the end, one of them fell in love with another person, and they broke up after 40 years. And the one that was more my friend than the other was like heartbreaking. And that was very sad for me to watch, because I mean, I couldn't just throw away 40 years of my life because I found somebody else. I mean, that's what it means for me to be loyal with the person, no? Like to be all at the same time, I'll say, grateful for choosing me for so many years. And that's how I see it.
I'm so glad that you're so. Let me just say one thing. I'm very glad that you feel so safe here to share a lot, that everything that you've shared so far. I really do appreciate you doing that for us. It sounds as though, like, this is what it sounds like, and I could be wrong, of course, but it sounds like you're talking about a specific form of polyamory. Like, it almost sounds like you're talking about hierarchical polyamory. Like, I mean, it sounds like, okay, so you might be polyamorous,
Mhm.
and this is how it might go for you, because there's so many different ways to do polyamory. There's so many different ways, but it sounds like you have, in like, kind of like hierarchical, kind of like, this is my person, but yet yes, I can have a relationship with this other person, but I'm always going to come back to this person, right? So it's almost like having, people say, a primary, secondary, tertiary relationship,
Okay.
which is okay, which is perfectly normal, which is, I just want to make sure that I normalize that for you, because it's definitely okay to like have your polyamory life that way. I mean, for me, yeah, I my partner kind of like, we're legally married. He kind of takes precedence, but over every other partner. But the thing is, on top of that, I make sure that the other partners feel like just about equal, just to make sure
Okay.
that they have that feeling. Of course, yes, you're important to me as well. So, but I just wanted to say that because I almost wanted to normalize that for you, because it seemed as though, like, like, Daniel just put it in the chat. I was just about to say something about it. Loyal doesn't necessarily mean commitment. Loyalty can mean so many different other things. Like, of course, I have four partners, right? One of them is my husband. Okay, I'm loyal to my husband to the day that, he's older than me. My husband's 16 years my senior. So if something happens to him, I'm going to be there. Period. End of story. I will also be there for my other partners. However, I'm going to be there for him when he needs me. All he has to do is call me and I'm there. But the other partners too as well. But the thing is, I've made a commitment to him. Does that make sense to you? Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, totally. Yeah, but I never thought, or I didn't know there was this what's the word?
Hierarchical?
Hierarchical um,
Hierarchical?
um relationships. But I mean, that kind of sounds like the way I see it. But I mean, at the same time, I wouldn't like to make a third person to feel that he's less valued than the primary
Yeah,
one. For me, it will
right.
be, I will treat them both the same. What I
Uh-huh.
try to say is like, um, if the case comes that I'm on a trouble, I mean, everyone is going to be the same. But if I am in a relationship with only one person, and we both decide that we don't want to have a third one in the relationship, but he's open to explore, he's
Mhm.
welcome to do it, and I'm more than open to do it at the same time. But my point is that I'm not close for things to happen, but I will always try to, as much as I can, to come back with my person or choose my person before having sex with somebody else, you know? But I mean,
Mhm,
like I said, after a long period of time that you experience a lot of things together, you might get into a routine, so
mhm.
it can get like spicy sometimes.
I understand completely. Uh, I understand completely. I think that a lot of people actually, I was having this discussion with a friend of mine today, and he said, I wish that I had, I wish I could do what you're doing right now, but I can't. And I'm like, why can't you? And he said, because I want to start out with the foundation of monogamy first and have that foundation and then build off of it. And I said, oh, okay. So you couldn't do it you couldn't do it from the start? And he said, no. And I said, well, I did. And then and then he said, well, how's that working? I'm like, it's working just fine. And then he said, where's the, he says, is that two? I said, yeah, I have two. So yeah, I think it's working okay.
Well,
Yeah.
we had a very big conversation on the previous episode about hierarchical non-monogamy. It was just unbelievable. You can watch that on this channel later.
I was just going to piggyback on that portion of loyalty or commitment, right? Because for as Latinos, the word loyal and commitment almost translates the same thing. So there is like different. It's and that comes again to the cultural portion of it. Like we tend to confuse that just because I'm gonna go out and have sex with someone else that is not my partner, I feel like I'm breaking that loyalty. But you're not breaking loyalty because you are letting your partner know I'm going to meet this person. There's a communication between you and your partner, and that's okay. So you are not breaking loyalty because you are still committed to that person. You're still, connected to that person. And that, like you said, you're just having fun and then coming back to your person. If that's the case of the type of relationship that you have. So there is like a fine line between loyalty and commitment. And that I think that's where it lies, like the what's the word, like incertidumbre, right? Like you're not sure, where that is, or understanding a little bit of what Justin was mentioning, Dr. Justin was mentioning that is like hierarchical, right? That's the word. I never can pronounce that word, jerarquía in
Hierarchical.
Spanish. That.
That's it.
But again, it's I think that everything comes down to the communication that you have with your partner. And if you are clear and open in how you feel with your partner, whether it's one person or two people or three people, if you there's a clear communication, then there is no, damage or foul done into your partners. And that's one of the things that sometimes people don't understand because they have to break those, ideals. And that I think that's what you're going through is basically what I went through, and it's try to unlearn, you know, unlearn the things that you have grown up with, that you grew up with that not necessarily were correct. Those were teachings that they were given to you because your parents, they were taught by their parents and their parents were taught by their parents, and it has come down to generations and generations. And what happened back in 3 4 generations, it's not applicable to our current, time. And we need to evolve and grow as people, right? And that means sometimes to have some change. And that's one of the things that I keep telling people, even when I'm at church and I'm preaching and I tell them, the Bible is a historical book. People think that, everything has to be followed by the dot, and it's not. It's an historical book. You can learn from the history behind, but it doesn't mean that this is, exactly how you have to follow your life. because that then is wrong. That what was applied back then is not applicable today. So you have to like change, right? Change and communication, and that's how everything goes smooth.
So I'll say this for myself, right? I was raised in a very Christian household. Like I was in church every Sunday. I was a part of the youth choir. I actually helped to assist in music, minister of music. Like I helped my dad count the money at the end, like all this other stuff, right? And then you know, I realized that not I actually was not supposed to be raised Christian at all. I was actually supposed to be raised Jewish, right? And so now ta-da, Jewish, and Rosh Hashanah is actually tomorrow, so I have to get ready for my high holidays. However,
Shana Tova.
thank you. Toda Rabba. So I actually realized something that, like this construct that we call religion, right? A lot of us do follow religion, a lot of us don't. A lot of us are spiritual, a lot of us do this, a lot of us do, it's just there's so many, there's so many in this world, right? So, but I have to also like think about my ancestors as well, like being African American, right? So I didn't really choose to be here. Like I just kind of just, brought over here. And the thing is, on top of that, when the Europeans were raiding Africa, a lot of us didn't believe in Jesus Christ. We weren't Christians. We were actually dealing with like probably lots of gods or deities and things like that. Some of us were actually Jewish, right? So my thing is like, of course, colonization brought over Christianity, which taught us that monogamy was the way. It taught us that monogamy was the way, and that is the only way, right? And tribes in Africa, yeah, there's people with several different wives, and like like they were polygamists or polyamorous or what have you. They had several different relationships. But of course, now you have this religion from this other population that doesn't even belong here, this foreign element in our country that's telling us this is wrong. What you're doing is wrong. Let's colonize them and make sure we bring in Christianity to cleanse this earth or this land of savagery or what have you. So it's like a lot of times that religion that we were raised with actually does a lot of damage. And the thing is, a lot of people say, this is the book you have to go by. This is the book you have to go by. What book, what God do you worship? I'm like, well, my book's older, so whatever. But cum si cum sa. So más o menos. But I guess it's what it is. It's what it is, right? It's what it is. It's religion telling us this is what you should be doing, this is how you should live your life. When honestly, half of us, more than half of us that are not Christian or that are not Catholic or that are not believing in the book are doing a lot more good than harm to this world. Actually, there's a couple of comments that I really did want to read, especially from Kiros. I really do like what he said about jealousy. He said some people hold jealousy up as some kind of ideal for relationships. I don't get it, because people say, that is actually, of course, probably the number one question we get here, right? We're as polyamorous people. How do you deal with the jealousy? I'm like, well, here's kind of my answer to that for people that are listening that are not polyamorous. You have to do the work within yourself. That can be tough. It can be hard. And then also what I like to do, okay, of course, we're all humans, no one's above jealousy, right? But what I do, at least for me, it's for my self-help, I turn jealousy into envy, right? So a lot of times my boyfriend and my husband go camping, right? They love to camp. They take the RV, they glamp, whatever you want to call it. And I'm stuck at home, like doing some sort of bullshit class or doing something I don't want to do. And then I'm like, I'd rather be camping in the RV with them, snuggled up in bed and like watching TV or like barbecuing or doing something. Um, and then I'm like, I'm not really jealous of them. I'm more envious of them because they get to spend time together. And I'm like, I really wish I was there to spend time with them. Jealousy is the other part of that. I wonder what they're doing while I'm not there. They're probably having sex without me. They're probably doing this without me. That is based upon jealousy.
Yeah, I've always called it FOMO, just the fear of missing out. I'm missing out on whatever they're doing rather than being jealous that they're spending time together.
But
Right.
Justin, I didn't get it. Do you like to go camping or not?
I like it when there's an RV involved. I
So,
do
but
not
you don't
want
go
to.
sometimes,
He likes
right? Why
glamping.
don't?
Well, I do go when I can, but like I'm usually like there's some sort of class that I paid $375 to take. So I can't leave because it's an online class. And they're like, oh, you can take it online. I'm not gonna be stuck at a camper from 8 o'clock in the morning to 6 p.m. in a
Oh,
class when I could be spending it with my partners.
gotcha. So it's a different
So
schedule, and yeah.
yeah, I mean, and I'm always busy. Like I'm always
Busy bee.
I mean, I'm
I mean, I'm
listen,
busy myself. I know, like I'm skipping
right,
all the holidays. I work in the entertainment industry. I'm
right.
missing
So
all the holidays, New Year, Christmas,
right.
I'm the worst
So
boyfriend on the planet, because I work all weekends. No, this is
but
like I
but
never thought about that, like I'm
but
free on Tuesday, on Wednesday, on Thursday, and nobody's available on those days, you know what I mean?
of
So it's like,
course, but
what
like
kind of boyfriend is
so
that?
my
Yeah.
so my boyfriend is on disability, my husband's semi-retired. So who do you think is like
So,
working and like
mhm.
I need this, I need this, I need this. I'm an actor. I was a public health analyst for the federal government. I'm a therapist, I'm a life coach, I'm a producer. Like we need money to help support like to help support like my relationships because I
So they
feel
can
like
go and
sometimes
camping, have a
yeah, so
camping
they
on
can
the
go
on the
camping and
weekend.
do whatever they want to do. Like I'm like, please go enjoy, like have fun. Like it's my turn to take care of people. And
I saw a comment I briefly it was mentioned about like different type of marriages or like there was no even one type of marriage. That's what I read. A lot of people tend to say, especially the Christians, and I'm a Christian, but a lot of them they tend to say, marriage isn't between a man and a woman, and that's what the Bible said. And it's funny to me because a lot of these people talk about this, but they don't even know, and it comes again to back again to what you've been taught by your parents and their parents taught their children, and so forth and so forth. But the Bible actually talks about like more than seven different type of marriages, and people don't know about it because they only focus on the marriage between a man and a woman. But the Bible talks about more than just one type of marriage, and it there is gay relationships in the Bible, and people don't even mention and talk about it because that goes against to what they've been taught. Just to put it out there, and so since we were talking about teaching and going into that, and also the different type of relationships that there are there, so hey, just people need to know, and it comes down again to educate people and people to understand and find their own information, because that's a problem. People just hear one thing but they don't go and research themselves.
This topic leads to the next topic is like, how do you explain polyamory to yourself? And then how do you explain polyamory to your loved ones or to your family, to your friends and
oh, this is
circle of
fun.
friends? Yeah, that's kind of.
My mom actually, we had a conversation with her recently, and she's like, well, she does this for all of her boys. Like she has four of us. She has four sons. She has no daughters, none. So she will make you a blanket. She will like sit there and she'll like it's so a blanket for you because that's her way. That's her. You're a son. That's what you get from your mom. That's her. That's how she is. So when she met Joey, she was just absolutely loved him. So next thing you know, I get this. There's this big package for Joey coming to our house, and I'm like, this is my mom's handwriting. She made him a quilt. And I was just like, she's like, welcome to the family. Like, she's like, I love him. He's just amazing. She likes him. And then we had to talk about polyamory. And she goes, okay, so there's you, Phil, and Joey. And I said, yes. And then she goes, and you're dating a couple named Carl and Jacob. I said, yes. She goes, that sounds complicated. And I said, it's only complicated because you're not in it. Like, I had to explain, like, she's like, well, my relationship is very, very simple. What would you call yours? I'm like, it's simple if you're in it. You only think it's complicated because you're not polyamorous, you're monogamous. And
I
so
think she
she
was
was
referring the complication because it's, how many blankets does she need to make?
I mean, she's state nurse, so I don't think she'd have a problem with how many. I had to explain to her. I'm like, if you're monogamous and you're calling a relationship complicated, it's almost like, to me, you're insulting my relationship, because it's like you're calling it complicated. When you call someone complicated, they're complicated. That puts a negative connotation on it. It does. And if somebody comes back at you and says, "Well, I didn't mean to be negative," I'm like, "Well, I totally understand, but I'm telling you, as somebody who you're talking about, as they're my relationship, you calling it complicated puts a negative connotation on it. So why don't we say this? My relationship is not conventional in your eyes." And she said, "Okay, I understand that." Okay. I'm like, "Thank you." So trying to explain it to my father, you're talking about a angry black man from Alabama trying to explain non-monogamy to him. He understands what it is. He understands what it is. However, he doesn't want to hear about how I met my other partners. He just cares about Phil. And that's it. So he's like, "I don't know, I don't want to hear you. I don't want to hear how you met Joey." Like, that's exactly how he talks. With Alabama accent and everything. "I don't know. I don't want to hear how you met Joey. How's Phil doing?" I'm like, "Oh my God, Dad, she's literally Jesus, literally Jesus." And then he's like, "Aren't you supposed to be not? You're not supposed to be saying that." I'm like, "Jesus was a Jew. I can say his name."
Let's talk about benefits and challenges of polyamory. Kairos, we're gonna start from you. What were you can start from benefits or challenges, up to you. What do you think?
Benefits, multiple incomes. That's definitely a nice one. Challenges, sleep schedules, sex schedules, all these things that where you don't always align, like where one person likes to stay up all night, the other person gets up early in the morning, and so you don't really like interact that much, even if you live in the same house, which was us for a long time. Or where like two people are moved, but the other one isn't, and it's like you don't kind of feel a little awkward because you're all in the room, you want to do something, but you don't want to leave the other person out, or like, "Hey, can you scoot off for a little bit so we can have some fun?" you know, it logistics. It all comes down to logistics. And there's been a kind of a joke amongst several of my other poly friends that the best thing you can have as a poly person is a Google Calendar. Because trying to keep everything organized I told you I was going to do this thing tomorrow night. No, you didn't. You told him. Oh, right. Okay. So you have to have one calendar that everybody shares so that you all know where everybody's at and what everybody's doing and when and where and how and why.
There's something I wanted to ask. I guess all of you mentioned that, Daniel and Justin too, about the income and shareable income. Is that just me, or it's a new generation, or what? Like, I've never shared the income with my boyfriends didn't share the income with me, and I didn't share my income with them.
For us, at least, and I can only speak for us, it's not about sharing income with them. It's about taking care of the house. It's about taking care of the cars. It's about making sure that, making sure that our life is manageable. So it's like, it's not like I'm sharing income with them. It's more or less, I'm like, "Okay, so let's divide the roles and responsibilities when it comes to the finances that we actually definitely need to be looked at, like the house and how much that would be to pay off. Okay, so you pay this amount, this comes out of your check, but this goes directly to the mortgage. Okay, this comes out of your check, but this goes to the cell phone bill. Okay, this comes out of my check and it goes to the cable." Okay, so this is all because it's all about kind of making your life functional, basically. It's like, okay, so you were paying for the phone bill, this is going to the TV. Okay, groceries. How are we doing the groceries? Okay, what's that look like? Okay, so I know that you don't eat this, but I don't care because it's my turn to do groceries, but I'm going to buy it because I want it. So honestly, when you live with two other people, Google Calendar, like Kiros was saying, is a lifesaver. Because I've had several times where you didn't tell me that. Like, yes, I did. I'm like, no, you told him that. Oh, I wasn't even there. Talking about. But if you had put it on the calendar and hit default visibility all, like, or like public, I would have seen it, but I didn't. So, but yeah, but going back to the finances part, yeah, I mean, it's just like, let's keep the lights on. All of us use that. Let's do this, let's do that, making sure that everybody contributes in some sort of way. Now, I mean, I know that there are several different, like Kiros would probably say, and I understand that, yes, all of us have different incomes, right? So all three of us, different incomes, right? So of course we say, okay, this income is going to be used for this because this is where we need the most help. Or this income is going to be used here because this is a small bill and that's okay. At least you're using your income to help out with whatever finances that we have here.
The way we did it, and early on, especially, I mean, now it's just, yeah, whatever. But we had a joint account that we all deposited part of our paychecks into, and that was one that paid all the bills. So we just had one account that we all three had access to. We just all deposited percentage kind of thing. Like, I made less than they did because they were both computer programmers. I was a writer. So, but we all put in money into that account, and then that got used to pay the bills.
I'm hearing all of your stories, and again, I don't know if it's just me or it's the new reality. People, that's what I'm experiencing right now. That people don't want to commit a single date or something like that. And talking about like joint account or same a property or something like that, I don't know.
I will say this, I will say this, when you're married as well, because a lot of times some of us are married, and so we need to that
Tax
some of our
purposes,
accounts
yes.
are a little like, probably intertwined a little bit. Like, so like me and my husband, for instance, right? We have our own checking accounts, right? We have our own saving accounts. But we also have one saving account where this is specifically for the house to pay the mortgage. Specifically. All the other bills we just take out of we're like, okay, paid, we're good. But yeah, we do have one savings account with both of our names on it. Now we've got different savings account with, he doesn't have access to my savings account. I don't have access to his. He doesn't have access to my checking account. I don't have access to his. We both know how much we make. We trust in each other to make the right decision when it comes to taking money out of our paychecks allotment and putting it into that mortgage and having it paid on time. So the thing is, I think it's more or less, what goal are you trying to set for yourself in your relationship, right? So it's like, it can be also, okay, what does our relationship look like when it comes to finances, right? You're gonna have to have that talk. But the thing is, on top of that, it's like, okay, so we have a 4-bedroom house together on 80 acres. How are we paying for this? How is this going to get paid off? Okay, so we need to make a plan. So the thing is, of course, you have to intertwine those finances, unless one person's going to be the breadwinner, which right now I am, but I'm not willing, I can't possibly all of the bills. Yeah. Yeah. So I'm like, I need help. I need and paying the bills and all this other stuff. So it's like, okay, so Phil helps and Joey helps and I help, and you kind of have to, in a way, if you live together and you're married and you have a house together and we have 2 kids together. Like, so of course, a lot of our finances are going to be intertwined.
Oh, my experience with my ex-husband, the one that I lasted for 7 years, we had a combined account. So that was easier to like mix, things around. But with my second relationship after him, we we didn't have an account per se together, but everyone entrusted me because oh, Daniel works at the bank, so he knows how to budget and how to manage the funds and the money. So everybody would give me their portion, not entire check, but their portion to pay the bills and make sure everything was worked smoothly. But it got to a point where sometimes it needed to be at least another person in the account, because in case I was out of town, I was somewhere else, and something needed to be paid and I was not available, the other person would have access to the account. But that was just on my experience. Obviously, the benefit on having like two additional incomes besides yours is that because you're paying less, on your bills, then you have that extra income that can be used for something else. And then for me and my ex Joe, we would combine our incomes because we would make enough money, and then that extra money that we would not spend because it was covered by our boyfriend, then we would say, okay, well, we're going to Disney next weekend, and the boyfriend will not pay anything because we'll be the ones who will be paying with the extra money that we had. So it was kind of like a balance on that sense, right? Like maybe this person cannot fully afford it because it makes less income or has less income than the other two, but you kind of balance out each other.
And that's one of the things that can cause trouble in a relationship too, is if two people make a lot more money and one person doesn't, and you don't have some kind of sharing like that. These two are going on these expensive vacations, and this other person just stays home and can't go because they don't make enough money and they can't afford things or can't afford to go out to eat all the time. And so you end up with resentments really quick.
And that was one of the reasons why we would like help the other person, so that person will not be left behind. We wanted to continue to make sure that everything was smooth, and obviously that person is still, sometimes it would feel bad because, oh, you guys are paying for everything. It's like, well, right now you don't have the income, but once you have it, you can contribute with more. Like you have to like try to make it even if you want to, at least for us, we wanted to try to make it even in that then.
I actually had that happen to me in a polyamorous relationship that we were in Maryland. So I made 28K a year, right? And I wasn't making much. Like I mean, when it comes to the DC area, that's nothing. Like 28K is that's not good luck. But like they all made more than I did, like 60K, 70K, like at one point, and 90K at one point. And I kind of just was like, oh, okay. So then they went on a trip and they left me at home. And two of them actually got married, and they took my husband, but at the time was not my husband, but my boyfriend, and left me here. And I said, wait a second. So do I not mean like anything to you for you to not take me? And I know that one of you has, I know that there's enough income to pay for my plane ticket. I mean, I don't quite understand that. So I wasn't really invited to that special ceremony or another trip that they went on because because it wasn't making enough money. And that was the reason. But they didn't bother to like help me. So for me, in my relationship, I vowed never to do that. I vow I will never do that to any of my partners. I will say, hey, I'm thinking about doing this trip. Like the Atlantis cruise is coming up in a month, going out of San Diego, right? It's a Halloween cruise, right? I surprised them. I said, hey guys, guess what? We're going on a cruise. And I was talking to Joey and Phil at the time. Sorry. Jacob and Carl weren't really in the picture when I started paying for the cruise. So, but I knew like paying for this cruise, it was, oh my God, hard. It was like, wow, this is how much a cruise actually costs. And I paid for Joey and Phil to go. And I was not going to leave Joey or Phil out or leave one of them out because they couldn't have like, let's just say one of them couldn't afford it. I think that's utterly ridiculous. I think it's utterly ridiculous. I understand that some people run their polyamorous relationship that way. I understand it. I'm like, that's the way that you want to, but for me, I think that's ridiculous to leave a partner out because they don't make enough money. I think that that's just like Kira says, it was resentment, all those things I felt because it happened to me. And I vow I will never let that happen again. If Carl and Jacob say, hey, we want to go on the cruise, I'm like, okay, it's a little too late because we're leaving in 30 days. How about next year? Something like that, you know. Yeah, I vow I will never do that. Ever.
I have a question. What if some of your partners will deny your offer?
What if what?
They will deny your offer. They will say, no, I cannot pay. You don't have to pay for myself. I'm not
I'm
going.
sorry. I'm sorry, they're gonna deny something from me. I'm not
They're
really
they're
understanding.
denied. They won't take your offer of paying for them.
I know I'm just being sarcastic. But but if they didn't if they I mean I know that one of my partners would probably say, I don't, I don't know if I don't know if I like that. I'm like, okay, no problem. I've offered it, but it was denied. So what can you do? Right? You just say, okay, well, okay, well, I mean, if you still want to go, let me know. But I need to know by this time if you really do want to go. If you don't, just let me know by this time, and I'll be perfectly fine with whatever answer you give me. Just give me an answer.
If someone chooses to opt out of going, that's their choice. It's not,
Yeah,
there's the resentment's not there because you're not being left
right,
behind. You're choosing to stay behind.
right. Which is okay. Which I'm like, you know, okay, that's all right, no problem. Everybody should have a choice.
Well, thank you for sharing that, guys. I'm thinking about myself and my relationship with my ex polyamory boyfriend, and I'm thinking about me that I'm very hard. I'm a boyfriend that very hard to date. My ex-boyfriend had so many trips, different kind of trips to in the country, in the United States, and outside, and I think I denied all of them. Yes, like it was a lot. Like he went to so many places, so many countries, and I think the only like a little escape, that's how I would call it, from the city we had was on Fire Island, which is a few hours from New York, right? And yet I had some story that I was late for the train and all of that stuff. This feelings of independency and this necessity of independency, it's kind of taken over, at least in my case. As much as I would love to be in a relationship, but at the same time is like it's very hard in to engage, to invite me into some kind of action. I don't know, it's very it's I don't know if this is just me, hopefully, or there's many of us like that, and it's kind of hard to navigate these people like me. That's what I think. Okay, so what's the benefits? What's the challenges? Well, that was a big,
Oh,
I don't know if it's a benefit or a challenge. Yeah, just
that was. I mean, to most of us, I think it's a benefit. To most of us, I
for
think
me,
it's a
it sounds like a
benefit.
challenge.
I
Yes,
mean,
to
I
try to
mean,
share something. Yeah.
yeah, maybe. Yeah. So I think that like the finances, to me at least, I will only speak for me and with my situationship. Um, it's definitely a benefit. I mean, it's honestly, it's nice to see that I don't have to pay this or pay that, and that the
But if
stress
you would be
level.
by yourself, you would pay less for everything. You know that.
If I
I
would be
mean,
by myself, I wouldn't be in a 4-bedroom house.
no, you exactly. Your house will be small and
It would be a
etc.
smaller house. Because of course, now that
Right.
I have these things, it's a lot less stress for me because I'm like, okay, great. And also, like, yeah, I'm the breadwinner. I am, which is okay. But I'm just like saying, for me, it's stressful. Like for me, in my relationship, in my relationship, it's stressful to me to have to be able to take on this responsibility and for it to be so large. Like it's really, really, to me in my head, it's like, oh my God. Like I remember when my husband semi-retired and I said, holy shit, I'm the bread. Like it scared the fuck out of me. So I didn't have that responsibility for a long time. I was this twink that was being taken care of, like literally and somewhat. And so I'm like 25 years old. My partner is 40 something years old, right? And my other partners are in their 40s and 50s, right? So I'm the youngest. And usually, like, it was like, okay, Justin, this is what we do. It's like, hey. But like, I just take care. I just like kind of start taking responsibility, and that was scary. That was so scary. But also, challenges of polyamory are definitely power dynamics. When it comes to having to come into a relationship, let's just say you're already established and the third person comes in, and a lot of times they don't feel empowered enough because sometimes, like I said, me and my husband have been together for 19 years. Joey came in and I just was like, do you, like I always said, if you feel a certain way, like you feel like it's something is unfair, I need you to bring it up as soon as it happens. And he said, no problem. Haven't had that yet. And so I'm kind of like, crossing this gas. But like the thing is like, when you have to come into an already established relationship, that can be a big challenge. It can be a huge challenge because you're also walking on eggshells, making sure that, you don't seem like you're trying to get in the middle of them. You're also making sure that you're not taking sides on a lot of things. Like, but a lot of times people think that way when they come into an already established relationship.
Well, for me, benefits of polyamory relationship would be varieties in everything, I guess, because there's so many things you can do. No, no, I'm serious. Because as I said from my story, that not I cannot give everything to my partner or my partners. I'm not universal, and my partners cannot give me everything what I want, what I like. So obviously, for me, it's a big benefit of them polyamory. Another thing is emotional growth. For a lot of people, it would probably be a challenge. For me, it's kind of benefit, because for me, it's boring to be in monogamy relationship in terms of that you have established a relationship for years, and you know everything what's going to happen next, and like, oh, you should do, you like you don't have to think, there's like, because everything is there's a pattern, and I'm not really enjoying that. So for me, emotional growth is actually a benefit. The challenge, I don't know what would be the challenge for me.
It could be a challenge for you, but I'm not sure. So I'm just gonna put it out there and you tell me if it's a yay or a nay. Okay, so I know I've like known you for this past year. It's been really great meeting you, getting to know you, and how your polyamorous relationships work, right? So I don't want to put words in your mouth, but it seems like you have relationships, but they're all in different locations. Like they're all spread out, right? So of course, those are long distance relationships, right? Some of them are. Sorry, some of them are. And would you say that that's a challenge in your own polyamorous relationship, having partners far away from each other, so you have to travel a lot just to
It's
see
a
them?
benefit. It's a benefit for me.
It's a benefit. Why is that?
I was actually thinking about that even before we started the stream today. I was thinking about this part as a benefit, because I don't have to see my partners all the time. Like, second of all, because my schedule, my job is allowed me to take some days off and do it wherever and travel. Third is because if I travel, let's say to Texas to see my boyfriend, then I'm not distracted by work, because I'm off basically. I have to take several days off and see them. So I fully present, okay? Another thing is there is a kind of theory or something that when you're on a distance or when you don't see each other, you actually miss each other. So it's kind of like you have this energy and you wanted to catch up what happened, and your sex is better and your time is so valuable, and etc., etc. So you do want to spend time together, like with intention from both sides. Another thing, which is for fifth already, I like to travel, and I get bored at the same place. So I'm okay to travel different states to different boyfriends or different countries. I like that too. And yeah, weather and culture and food and everything. So it's like you're going through, it's great. And also it's kind of gives clarity to two of you, or for how many of there in the political, that okay, I will be in your place, I will be in your house, I will be in your city from, I don't know, from January 22nd up to January 29. So it's clear for everybody when exactly you will be here. So they're going to be, spend time with you. When you're not there, they can do other things. So it's kind of easier to plan, you know what I mean? Like, because they know exact dates you will be there. And when you're not there, they can work, they can date other guys, etc.
So I do want to make sure I say this comment. Reginald posted this comment. I love it. We all like different boys in different countries.
That Oleg said, like because he loves to travel and then he has a chance to go and see their boyfriends.
Mhm.
I was like, just bring me back to the question. I was like, what would you do if one of the partners turns down the invitation of a trip? Hey, if they say no, just that's okay. Just call Daniel and Daniel will go for it. Because I love to travel
Yeah,
too.
Daniel, I was gonna say, I was like, oh, like you have yet to visit the beautiful, enchanting state of New Mexico. So I'm like, and it's right next to Texas, so that to me, there's no excuse. So I'm kind of like, okay, so you've yet to come to New Mexico, right next to Texas. Okay.
Or San Francisco,
I
California.
mean, right?
Is that
I mean,
invitations, guys? What's going
for
on here?
sure. Yeah, we have an extra room if you want to stay. I mean, so there's an extra room. We have a pool. We'll take you to Santa
They're
Fe,
gonna
do
do a
some
pool
cultural
party for you,
shopping.
see?
Yeah, do some cultural shopping in Santa Fe, and like, go to some clubs in Albuquerque. Yeah, definitely for sure. And there's museums and there's lots of culture here.
Well,
So
I'm
if
a
you
good
want,
tourist
I'm
guide here.
speechless. I'm speechless.
no, I'm serious. Like my home is very open to, like, if I have a friend of mine that's coming from out of town. I've actually have a friend of mine that's coming in town next week from Maryland, and he's staying with us for like almost a week.
Well, whoever is watching this, I hope you guys enjoyed our conversation. Don't forget to hit like to this video and subscribe to this YouTube channel. We're definitely gonna bring you more stories and